Tesla stock has been a bit of a roller coaster over the past few years. For the next sort of 12 months, can you think of 3 positive catalysts you're looking out for? Not financial advice.
Yeah, not financial advice. Thank you. Well done. For me, the 3 biggest catalysts are around margin is one. So I think if Tesla's able to keep margins above 20% for the car margins above 20% for the year, especially with lower pricing because of the price decreases and stuff. If they can do that, I think that's a huge signal that says that Tesla's pricing power is unmatched as they enter the true mass market. That's number one. Number two, I think the energy side of the business has a chance to surprise. And I think if it does surprise to the upside and say they're able to double their sales from Q4 2022 to Q4 2023, it starts becoming a more significant part of the story, especially if they're able to do it at relatively high margins, like say somewhere between 20 to 30% by then. I think that would be a huge thing. I don't know if it's possible, but that would be a huge thing. And I'm curious to see if that happens. And then the third one is deliveries. I think if they get to 2 million deliveries for 2023, especially with a uncertain backdrop for the economy, all these banks are freaking failing. You got the Fed is doing whatever they want to do. You have folks struggling to pay their bills in the United States. China's slowing down dramatically. You also have a situation in China where some of the signals we're getting now is that Tesla has a lot of demand and BYD doesn't because of Tesla's price decreases, some early signals. So if all that stuff plays out, I really think those are going to help the stock perform really, really well. And I'll give you a bonus one is Cybertruck. I think if Cybertruck comes to market and maybe they're able to ramp up a little bit quicker than people expect, let's say they get 10,000 units this year, and then they signal to say more than 150,000 next year, I think that could have a pretty large upside surprise as well. Because especially if it truly starts eating into F-Series sales, which I really think it will, and Ram and Chevy and all those guys. And then a second bonus one is full self-driving. If full self-driving version 11 turns out to be this holy grail of full self-driving, and there's data that shows that disengagements are basically at zero by the end of the year, and the safety is 5 to 10x better than a human under all circumstances, why wouldn't you start pricing that in? So those are the things I'm looking at. Just a lot. There's a lot going on all at once. And yeah, so if growth, margins, and energy really deliver, I think that's a very big positive catalyst. And then the other 2 wild cards, I think, could be upward surprise as well. Cybertruck less so, because it's still going to be X percentage of the business, but full self-driving could be completely transformational. And it's there. It just has to happen. It just has to happen. Yeah, I think the China-US relations, I think if they sour as we end the year in 2023, where, I don't know, China starts using some pretty aggressive language towards US companies and operating in China, or they start throwing out some language around maybe disrupting the supply chain for whatever reason, I think that could have some implications, not just for Tesla, for the rest of the world, really, but Tesla would be obviously impacted by that. I think if there is a severe recession or, God forbid, a depression going into next year because of all the Fed decisions and the state of the banking system and the trust that the people have in the economy and, all these different factors, I think that could be impactful to the downside. I think with us starting a new presidential cycle in the United States, our presidential election is next year, and this is like a freaking global phenomena for whatever reason. People love to see who the next president of the United States is going to be, and it's just, it's as an American, I'm like, God, here we go again. Like literally, I can already see it. I'm like, okay, it started. Here we go. Depending, Elon Musk can be quite polarizing, and I think there's a certain side of the aisle, a subsegment of the left loves to attack him. So it depends, as the election heats up, and he might turn into a punching bag potentially because he's a billionaire, outspoken individual that has certain beliefs that could negatively impact uh, the stock for whatever reason, because maybe there's fears around brand damage and how the company's being let through the mud. That's a much lower risk because I do think Tesla now has become much more of an economic powerhouse, and I think it's politicians have an incentive to play nice because Tesla could come to their state and do business, you know. So maybe less so now. But those are the things that I'm looking at. I think, yeah, those are the main ones. Those are the main ones, and then those could loosely also impact margins as well. Like if Tesla, for whatever reason, is to continue lowering prices to the point where they have to keep production at 1.8 million, let's say, for the year, but they have to continue eating into margins to make that happen below 20%, that could send a questionable signal to the markets, But I just don't see that happening. I don't see that happening. But it could.
Most of what you focused on there was sort of macro trends, macro headwinds. Do you think, though, where Tesla's got such a strong brand, they're ramping, they've got a war chest of a balance sheet, actually some headwinds on a macro point of view could actually be a positive opportunity for Tesla to actually sort of knock out some competition?
100%. I think that's the side that I take with this. I think that the more likely scenario that's going to happen here, and obviously I take this side because I'm a bull, I'm a Tesla bull, is that the Tesla's competition will suffer great losses because they are not able to manufacture an affordable, compelling EV at scale. And as the gas car demand heavily diminishes in a economic downturn, especially in countries where the government is incentivizing the purchase of EVs to the point where it really doesn't make any sense to buy a gas car if you compare like to like vehicles in the two different segments. I think it creates a huge weakness around the legacy car companies that then have to figure out how to shed hundreds of billions of dollars in liabilities to a technology that's becoming obsolete in a macroeconomic sort of like thing that is causing sales to go down. And the only players with mass market affordable EVs that are compelling are taking market share. And I think that is what 2023, 2024, and 2025 are going to be for Tesla. That is the more likely scenario. Everyone else's sales will go down. Toyota, Ford, GM, Honda, Chrysler. Pick your legacy car company, and then Tesla's will go up, and it'll go up faster over time, especially as this Gen 3 car, this compact car, is released. To me, that is the likeliest scenario. And if that doesn't send a signal to the markets that says, hey, there's one player here to stay, and the competition is coming, but it's not legacy automaker for Tesla, it's Tesla for everybody else. If that doesn't send a signal, I don't know what else will. So I think that will be the likeliest scenario, but it's also wise to do your own research and to test this thesis against the other side, which I'm sure has valid merits, but I do not see it playing out that way personally. Not financial advice.